comment on Umair's gloom and doom prediction from AI. How to avoid predictable societal calamity. Umair published the following article on the death of the white middle class due to modernity. The coming wave of white-collar suicides. What point is there in seeing into the shadows of a dark age? I don't write much anymore. There's little point. So are Medium.com. I think if people understand a law I am proposing, as an old humanoid AI guy, all the white-collar people and blue-collar people will get rich. The idea is very simple, but you have to understand it. The law would essentially say that all modern AI must be used by a responsible human who takes responsibility for the AI tool's use. This includes those who make and sell AI tools as well as those who use them. We do this with automobiles already. So here is Grok summarizing Umair's fine article in 6 sentences. Here is a 6-sentence summary of the article. 1. In the coming wave of white-collar suicides, author Umair warns that a new wave of deaths of despair is approaching, shifting from the blue-collar workers documented by economists Angus Deaton and Ann Case to white-collar professionals, whose jobs and livelihoods are being upended by AI and economic change. 2. Huck argues that the real catastrophe will not be sudden mass unemployment, but the slow, grinding process in which people gradually lose their income, savings, homes, retirement funds, families, social status, and sense of identity until they have nothing left to live for. 3. He illustrates this with the observation that Americans fear running out of money more than death itself, and notes that even $1 million in savings may buy only about 10 years of a mediocre life before it is exhausted. Drawing on his own experiences of near death and loss, the author describes the unique psychological horror of this decline. Unlike illness or accident, it unfolds predictably, erodes relationships, as friends flee the infection of despair, and leaves people as hollow, dead men walking. 5. Hake predicts that large numbers of white-collar workers, especially men whose identities are tied to their professions, will be driven to suicide, addiction, or madness as they fall into a permanent underclass, with society offering little support or dignity. The piece ends on a bleak note, rejecting any encouragement of suicide while lamenting that humanity has long chosen self-destruction over building a civilization capable of protecting its people from such engineered despair. I think this is a fine, pretty accurate summary, although I like Umair's better because it expresses the reason for the despair among workers with much greater clarity and depth. If people can, indeed must, own the product of using AI tools, they must identify the product they are responsible for using, including the AI tool that produced under their direction and control. That tool, too, must have a responsible human that is responsible, just as an auto manufacturer has a CEO and managing owners that can be held responsible. And, since I am one of the creators of modern AI technology based on science, I used this tool in a way that I knew how to handle it, to produce what I knew I would get. I knew for sure that my use of Grok as a humanoid robot would need help communicating with other humans. Everything you see is a first try with Grok because I knew how Grok works and first coded modern humanoid AI back in the 1980s. Here is proof in a paper I published on it in 1983. Link.springer.com. I always knew humanoid AI, my life's work, must never be anything but a tool, and people must have a license to drive it, like a driver's license, using the tool, like cars, on roads that must be identified and responsible for their quality, like roads. Now everybody makes vastly more money than they were making before using their experience, respecting humans as responsible, and having everyone made responsible like we have done with other systems of automation like the automobile. Full self-driving, for another humanoid AI use for example, must have identified licensed humans responsible for its responsible use, rent, sale, or manufacture. Here is the science behind modern AI, which created the engineering and opportunity for vast new wealth you see today. This article is free to read and distribute with attribution. Medium.com. Have hope, but demand the right new laws. Automobiles did not destroy humanity, but they could have. And yes, many people have died through the irresponsible use of automobiles, their invention and manufacture, and the roads they run on. But many, many more people have gotten livelihoods, and governments have taken the responsible control they had to make of the automobile as well.